What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another live stream. Oh man, my volume is way too high here. Let's turn this down. What is up? Welcome back to another live stream on high altitude investing. Today is the 23rd of March, 2026. What a good day to be alive. What a good day to be a crypto YouTuber. We've got big things coming, and I am freaking excited, dude. It's going to be so much fun. You guys have no idea how fun this is going to be, this bull market with crypto and some of the things that are coming for the crypto markets. It is so exciting, you guys, like crazy exciting. But yeah, happy Monday. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed your time maybe with family or friends or whatever you guys like to do on the weekends. And hopefully you guys enjoy this nice little pump that we're starting to see on Bitcoin. Starting to see some strength come in. We had trillions of dollars. In fact, we had $2.5 trillion added back into the market in 20 minutes. How crazy is that? $2.5 trillion in 20 minutes. Oil just totally dumped. Bitcoin, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, they all pumped really, really hard. Now, obviously, oil isn't going to stay down forever. Don't think that it's just going to be entering into some big bear market or something like that. But we did have a pretty big pump on crypto, and that is super exciting, and a lot of reasons to be excited about it for a multitude of different things that are looking bullish that we'll take a look at in just a second. But man, I'm excited today to be doing this live stream. And normally I am. I love doing these streams, but it's a good day because it looks like we're going to have some pretty awesome stuff starting to happen in these markets. Citizen Rider says, I just joined your Discord. I'm very excited to have found you. Thank you. Thank you, God, for Dallin. Well, thank you so much for joining in the community, the Discord. Glad you're finding value in the content, the YouTube videos, the live streams, everything that I'm doing on this channel. It makes me super happy to see you guys enjoying this content. Let's see, can you analyze ICP for me, please? Absolutely. I always go over Bitcoin and usually at least Bitcoin, sometimes the total crypto market cap as well before I actually get into doing analysis on altcoins for you guys. So give me just like a little bit and I'll be happy to do analysis on ICP in today's live stream. DW says, hey, Dallin. Well, hello. Thank you for tuning in. John Cook says, hey everyone, LFG. Yes, let's go. Let's freaking go, man. This is going to be cool. So as you guys know, big picture, that's the focus of this channel, right? I'm always talking about the big time frames. That doesn't mean we don't look at the shorter time frames. That doesn't mean, we're not checking to see if there's bullish divergence on the 4-hour, checking to see if there's bearish divergence on the 4-hour, whatever. Like we're still looking at other time frames as well. But focused on the big picture, right? That's what this channel is all about, is the big picture analysis for crypto, because that is truly where you guys are going to make the most money, is in the big picture. It's not trying to, I know swing trading sounds fun and, it can be a good thing. And if you're successful at it, I say more power to you. But the biggest profits that you're going to make in this market in terms of putting $1 million into your bank or even more, that kind of money comes from these swings. That kind of money comes from the big swings in either direction in the big time frames. That is what you really want to be doing, because these pumps right here are the ones that change your life. So that's why I'm always telling people, focus on the big picture. Most people don't. Most people are impatient. Most people want to get rich fast. Most people want to, the sexiness of being a day trader, but it's not even that cool, unless you're like really good at it. Most day traders I know, a lot of them don't really do that well. The most successful traders and investors I've ever met were people that just put a bunch of money in before the cycle pump, basically. Like those are the guys that like really did well. Even some of the best traders and investors that I know just never sold, dude. They just freaking held on like the entire time, and 2020 hindsight, of course, I wish I would have done that more with more of my coins. Who Who in the crypto world doesn't wish that it would have held on to more of their original tokens, you know? But people trying to time the market, there's this old phrase, and I really, really believe that it's true and something that's important to be aware of. Time in the market, so time in, is greater than timing. So if you're trying to time the market, time in the market is greater than timing the market. In other words, if you want to be a successful trader and investor, buy and hold on to stuff that you really believe in, that you believe that the technology has some type of fundamental basis for holding it, and just keep time in the market. You have no idea. Like, if I would have listened to this at the very beginning of my trading career, it would have been crazy, you know? So this is so powerful. Just learn this, use this. It's so powerful, so useful. Not timing the market, but time in the market. That's how you're going to make the most money with crypto, with stocks, with everything. And I know that the world of crypto doesn't want to hear that, because everybody in crypto wants to be the cool person that freaking calls every single swing in every direction, because they all have giant, massive crypto egos. But the fact of the matter is that this is one of the oldest investing principles ever, and it's so true. And it applies to crypto just as much as it applies to any other market in the entire world, to be honest with you guys. Miguel, good morning to you too. Matursiluk says, hey, my brother, how about if war continues, that can lead gold and BTC to go higher? You know, I don't factor that type of stuff in. I know people ask me those kinds of questions a lot, and I appreciate the questions. I appreciate you guys coming in here, asking me stuff that you want to know more about, you know, but at the end of the day, I really don't factor news into my analysis, like war or anything. I just don't. I look at the charts. That's what works for me. And so it's not something I really calculate, to be frankly honest with you. Super Snake says, morning friends, great day to be DCAing into Pulsechain and PulseX. Well, nice. Good to see you guys buying your favorite coins. Do you think gold and BTC are correlated? I believe that there is a correlation. A lot of people think that it's a positive correlation, that when gold goes up, Bitcoin goes up, and when gold goes down, Bitcoin goes down. But actually, if you study the chart, especially in the bigger picture, it actually tends to be gold running first, and then gold starting to dump, and then crypto pumping right after. That's technically what's happening in the bigger picture. There might be short-term correlations where they go up together and down together, but the strongest correlation is actually a cross correlation, and it's in the bigger picture, and it's when gold runs first and then crypto follows after, when gold starts to correct. That's actually the bigger connection that's happening there, which is crazy because it's popular right now to think that Bitcoin just follows gold. But if you look at the actual freaking charts, it's not even true. Like, it's opposite of that, you know. In fact, I'll just do this real quick, and I promise I'll get to covering ICP and your favorite altcoins in just a second, but I do want to show you guys this. So let me pull this up right here. So you just want to add something else to the chart, right? So you click plus right here, and then you click gold, and I think you use this one. No, you don't use that one. Hold on just a second. So click this plus button, then you can click on gold, and then there we go. And actually what you can see here is gold runs first. See, gold pumps first, and then Bitcoin follows afterwards. And then while gold is starting to correct, Bitcoin is actually going full force. And so you can see right here, gold started to top out right here, and Bitcoin actually went full force into its bull market as gold started to top out. So yeah, they do kind of follow each other. You know, like right here at the peak of the gold bear market, Bitcoin was also going down. But it isn't 100% correlation, and generally gold leads first, and then Bitcoin follows. So if that's the case, gold just pumped super hard. Bitcoin should pump soon and follow shortly behind, right? So that's the connection between gold and Bitcoin. Tam, what is up? Thank you for tuning in to today's live stream. Miguel says Litecoin versus Dogecoin. That is an interesting thing to cover, but I'll be happy to cover it. Let's go over ICP. just to finish off my Bitcoin analysis, because I just got talking, didn't really go into it. Bitcoin did a support and resistance flip, so that's the same thing that called the bottom of the last bear market. So here's our previous old all-time high. Here's our pump up to a new all-time high, coming back down to support, and that became the bottom of the bear market. So our previous old all-time high back in 2017 became the bottom of the bear market in 2022, right? And actually, Bitcoin just did the exact same thing. If you look at it, if you grab this trend line tool, draw a horizontal trend line across, you can see our previous old all-time high up here at 70,000 per coin, pump up to a new all-time high, and then pulling back down to that previous old all-time high. So this is a support and resistance flip. This is the same thing that happened at the bottom of the last bear market for Bitcoin. So this could easily flip around. I have no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin can easily pump right up through this resistance right here at 74,000. But not only that resistance, but Bitcoin will pump right up through and even start to head up to this area where there's a lot of liquidity at 90,000 per Bitcoin. So 90K per Bitcoin is what I'm expecting in the near future based on the charts. And that's kind of my analysis on Bitcoin essentially. So let's pull up ICP as requested in the chat, and we'll cover ICP as well. So if you guys don't know, I did talk about ICP in some of my previous live streams. So let's zoom out a little bit here. And basically what I've been talking about with this coin is how ICP did this big giant correction, right? And that these big corrections look like they're a bad thing, but they're really a blessing in disguise. It's like when, I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen before, where something happens in your life and it seems like this big terrible thing that's like really hard to deal with, and you're like, why is this happening? Like what, like what is this? And it comes in the form of a trial or something that's difficult for you. And then what ends up happening is over time everything gets unveiled, and you realize that it was actually a good thing, and that you learned all this stuff from it, and it actually worked for your good, and you became smarter and stronger and better because of it. And that's exactly like a lot of these charts. People see these charts and they see, oh, ICP is dead, or oh, Bitcoin is dead, it dropped, or Ethereum is dead, or Cardano is dead. Like, look how down it is from its previous old all-time high. Well, do you really think that something that looks so bad is just going to somehow not turn into something good? Like, have you ever grabbed a pendulum and swung it in one direction and then watched as it swang the other way in the other direction? It swung in both directions. Well, that's how life is. If something goes really far in one direction, then there's going to be a pendulum swinging in the other direction, taking it in the other way. And that's exactly how the crypto markets work. People see something like ICP and they go, look, it's so down, it's so dead. But what they don't realize is the pendulum is swung clear over here on the left, and it's going to swing in the other direction. In other words, it's going to come like this and start to go up and have an equal and or opposite reaction like Isaac Newton talks about, And so that's exactly how these markets work. That's the nature of these markets, but it's also true for life. If you ever feel like you've got something that's really difficult, like you're really in this hard situation that seems like you're not going to come out of, well, the pendulum is going to swing in the other direction, It will swing, and that's how these markets work as well. So if you look at ICP here, ICP is a perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about with these big bear markets that people think are dead, that people give up on, that they think, oh, this is never going to pump again. Well, guess what? I was here when Cardano got added to exchanges back in 2017. I watched Cardano pump all the way to a new all-time high and then pull back and look totally dead. Look exactly like how ICP looks right now. So I know what it looks like when something is right here, when the pendulum is swung completely in the other direction, and it feels like it's just going to stay down forever, and then it swings in the other direction, and a big pump happens, and that's exactly what happened with Cardano over here on the right. So if you're finding coins that look like ICP, because there's a lot of them, you know, even ink, if you go look at INC on Dex Screener, it looks almost exactly like ICP. There's so many coins that look exactly like this, and people think, oh, it's dead. This is a terrible thing to buy, blah, blah, blah. You guys, do you even realize how good of an opportunity it is to buy stuff that looks like this? You know? Do you realize how profitable it is to buy the bottom of those big bear markets? Because if you don't, you're kind of missing out on the entire thing with crypto. The most profitable trading strategy with crypto is to buy the dip, to buy the big picture crash, to buy those massive totally dead looking charts, you know, stuff that just looks like death. If you buy that, you're going to make money. I know it's a simple contrarian approach, and you have to have patience, because sometimes you'll buy and it might go down for another year. You know, you look at ICP right here. Think of people that bought this bottom right here at $3 and then watched as it pumped up to $20 and then all the way back down to $3 again. Yeah, that's a pretty painful wait. 2 years of watching your asset go all the way up and back down again, and it still hasn't pumped like things pumped in 2021 or 2017. Yeah, that's a pretty hard thing to do. Most people don't have that kind of patience or resilience or even that type of big picture long-term thinking. They're just thinking in very just get rich quick sort of thinking, you know. But if you have that type of patience, then yeah, you can buy the bottom of something before it does this, before it pumps all the way to a new all-time high, before it goes vertical, before everybody piles in all at once and everybody gets stupid rich off the pump. You can get in before that happens if you have the patience and the fortitude and the big picture thinking instead of being small-minded, you know, and you can make a bunch of money off the pump that comes after. It's pretty simple. It's not that hard of a strategy. So that's my honest view on ICP, that ICP is basically like buying Cardano down when Cardano was literally worth like a penny before it went all the way up to multiple dollars per coin in a big bull market. In other words, what I'm telling you guys, what I've been telling you guys, is what I'm still telling you, is that a 2017 like pump, remember how fun 2017 was if you were here, or 2021 if you were here, and even if you weren't here for either of those types of pumps, big proper crypto bull markets where Bitcoin dominance is falling off a cliff, even though Bitcoin is pumping, and where altcoins are pumping like crazy, that's what's coming. Just like 2017, just like 2021. And it's going to come on a lot of coins. All of them have perfect setups for it to happen. You know, so get excited, you guys. Get excited. It's going to be crazy fun. So much fun. Let's pull up. Is there an LTC/Dogecoin chart anywhere? Or do you want me to cover both Litecoin and Dogecoin? For a second, I thought you were asking me to cover Litecoin versus Dogecoin. So let me know what you want me to cover. I'll happily cover it. In the meantime, Oliver, I will happily cover Algo for you. Let's pull up Algo. Okay. Same thing, you guys. Doesn't this look deader than dead to you? Like if you were new to trading and you didn't understand stuff, well actually somebody brand new to trading might do better than a lot of people that have been around for a little while because they have such brand new minds. But let's just pretend you're new to trading and you know you're just assuming that if something's down then it's probably dead. And if something's going up then it's probably good and people are excited about it and you should be buying it. That's kind of the first type of attitude people take when they get into trading. You know, oh, if everyone's excited about something and it's pumping, it must be a good thing, I better pile in. That's like the thought of the crowds, right? You see something like Algorand here and you see how down it is. And this just looks dead. This does not look like something that you'd want to buy, you know, as a new trader or new investor. Now, if you're like, have that childlike sort of mentality where, you know, you just can see things a little bit more clearly, then yeah, you'd see something like Algorand and you might buy. But most people would see this and go, this is dead. I can tell you right now, a lot of people do not believe this is going to recover. In fact, I can tell you right now that I would say that 80 to 90% of the entire world, when they look at crypto charts, when they see stuff like this, 80 to 90% of people do not believe that this could ever have a bull market again. But, to be honest with you, not only can it have a bull market again, but it can have a massive, massive, massive bull market. Like bigger than 2021 type of bull market. Seriously, I'm not just saying that to try to make you happy. Like that's really what can happen because of the cycle. I want you to look at this in terms of almost like a rubber band, you know, being stretched out. When the price is all the way down here, that rubber band is going to get released and it's going to spring up in the other direction. That's what's going to happen to the price of Algorand. Just like how when it was up here, the rubber band was stretched in that direction and it went down like this. Right now, the opposite is set up to happen. It's set up to happen in the opposing direction. And so that's how I want you to think about a lot of these charts, whether it's Algorand, whether it's helium, whether it's, you know, I could go down a list of a whole bunch of coins that look like really good buys right now because of the nature of the cycle. The fact of the matter is that they're all stretched out like a rubber band getting ready to just be released in the opposing direction. And in this case, everything's oversold instead of overbought. So the opposing direction happens to be up, happens to be a big pump coming in these markets. Now, obviously, nothing usually goes up in a straight line. You can see even right here, you had some corrections along the way up. So I don't want you guys to just think that I think the price is just going to go like this, although it can. I've seen it before. But I do want you guys to start thinking in terms of a bull market instead of a bear market, because we're really at that point, you know, and it's been this way since 2023. All through this whole period where we're oversold, undervalued, ready for that reversal on the upside and ready for a pump rather than more dumping. It's been undervalued for basically since 2023. A lot of coins have, including Algorand. In fact, if you pull up HNT here, like helium for example, let's pull up HNT and we'll go with HNT on, I don't know, Coinbase. No, let's not do Coinbase. HNT. Where is it? Here we go. That is not the setup I was thinking of. That's so weird. Where is it? Maybe this one? There we go. Cool. You know, look at this coin, for example. You know, does this look like it's ready for a bear market, or does it look like it already went through a bear market? Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at this and see that it's already been through a bear market. And that bear market started at the peak up here in 2021. It's not like, oh, the price is down 95% and we're going to go into a bear market now. Like, you would literally have to be blinded by just lies or just false opinions or just unrealities to see this and to go, this is ready for a bear market. Like, it's already been through a bear market that started at the peak in 2021. You know, you don't have to be a freaking genius to see that. You just have to see it as it is. Just understand that the chart is extremely undervalued, you know. So there's so many setups just like this that are actually a lot more like Bitcoin or a lot more like altcoins in 2016, you know, before we had a big pump in 2017 when everything pumped. That's what most altcoins look like. They look pretty much exactly like how coins looked like in 2016 before the big pump happened, which is awesome to me. You know, it's just so cool to see that. Trying to think of the exact name of the coin. I was going to show you a specific coin, but I can't. Let's see. We'll just pull up Litecoin. I'll show you guys, because this will work fine too. Let's pull up Litecoin on Bitfinex here. We'll do a double chart. So I always invite people to pull up the charts on the, you know, the older altcoins and to do a little bit of analysis on them. Oops, there we go. To kind of see what the markets looked like before, you know, big pumps, big historical pumps, like 2017 being one of the most parabolic pumps ever. And use that kind of as a gauge to understand what's going on in the markets right now. So we've got Litecoin over here on the right. We're going to pull up Digibyte over here on the left, and I'm going to show you kind of the connection here between these two things. So let's pull up Digibyte right here on, let's see. I think on Binance will be perfectly fine. Nope, it's totally not fine over here. Let's pull up Digibyte. There we go, that's the one I'm looking for. Cool. So here's Litecoin on the right, all right? Got Litecoin over here on the right before the 2017 pump happened for Litecoin. So in 2017, Litecoin went from being worth like $3.70 all the way up to $370 per Litecoin. Pretty big pump, you know? And if you kind of look at what the chart looked like before that pump happened, I mean, just look at this. That's what I'm telling people, like, this is the time to be a massive crypto bull, to be totally all in on crypto, to be more excited than you've ever been, to be more invested than you've ever been, to be more focused, to be more passionate about it, to be getting as much money as you possibly can in the markets, to be telling as many friends as you possibly can right now, not in 2021 when everything was up here, you know, but right now is the time you should be feeling like that, you know. And if you do, and if you play this market like the charts are clearly telling us that it's going to happen, which is a massive pump, just like 2017, you're going to see the fruition of your hard work and your patience, and it's going to be extremely satisfying. You're going to feel just so good about the fact that you bought the dip and that you made all that money. It's going to feel amazing. It's going to feel so good, but you know, you got to look at the market objectively and see this for what it is, which is clearly an amazing opportunity to be buying altcoins. Bigger than pretty much anything I've ever seen in my crypto career for the past 10 years. And I'm not saying that to exaggerate. It's a big opportunity right now. Can we go over ProveX today? Sure, let's pull up ProveX and see what's happened. I haven't even checked on the chart since my stream over the weekend. And shout out you guys if you had a chance to tune into the stream that I did with Crypto 7. So we've got ProveX here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart. Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, let's zoom out a little bit here. So this is actually good. This looks really nice. So this right here is an ABC. Let's pull this corrective pattern here, this ABC on the left. So first it looked like this could be an ABC right here, right? A, B, and C. Then we went for one more lower low. So the thing with Elliott wave, you basically have to be aware of alternatives because you can have two types of corrections. You can have one type of correction that's like this. Well, there's more than just two, but for the purpose of explaining this, just think in terms of two. So you can have a correction like this, or you can actually have a deeper correction like this. Okay? So it can be a small ABC like this, you know? Or it can be a bigger, deeper ABC. And sometimes you draw the small ABC and it looks like the bottom's in, and price comes up and goes for another low, and it becomes the bigger ABC. But what do? You don't go sell all your coins at the bottom of wave C like most people do because the price went lower and they get scared. But you actually double down because you see that you went into a bigger corrective structure. That's exactly what happened here with ProveX, is we have a deeper ABC correction here. And so now actually what it's getting ready to do is go for another bullish impulse wave like this because it just completed an ABC correction. So I'd be looking for a big rounded kind of shape like this for the price of ProveX to start to go like this and turn around and actually go for another impulse wave up through our old all-time high right here. It's looking pretty good, not gonna lie. Bro, but the MACD is not crossed, still to the upside. We should wait as confirmation. Thanks for all your answers. You are precious. Been watching you for more than 4 to 5 years. So it kind of depends on what time frame you're looking at. Some time frames, even some of the bigger ones, the MACD is crossing through, is curling. Now, if you're super zoomed out, the MACD isn't yet. But the thing is the smaller time frames start to curl first, and then the bigger time frame will lag, and then start to curl and cross through. So technically, the MACD on some of those smaller time frames is crossing through and is looking really bullish as we speak. Stefan says, have you done TA on Vchain? No, I have not, but let's do it right now. And this will go along perfectly with what I've been telling you guys with how so many coins look like pre-2017, where before the 2017 bull market happened, a lot of these altcoins have a similar type of attitude as what was going on in the market before the 2017 or even the 2021 bull market happened. I mean, they're just so similar. You know, you look at this chart and you go, wow, that is crazy how similar that is. So here's Litecoin on the right before 2017, and here's Vchain on the left. Now I want you guys to remember that history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And sometimes it does repeat itself. I've seen some fractals that look so freaking close that I would have just said that's a repeat. You know, that's not even a rhyme. Like, that is an identical clone, you know. But for the most part, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And you can see that if you're looking at Vchain on the left or you're looking at Litecoin on the right, they are extremely similar. Even though there are subtleties that are different, they're extremely similar. And by the way, if you pull up even Ethereum right here, Ethereum in 2018, so now we're talking about a little bit of a different bear market. But if you pull up the price of Ethereum in 2018 and you look at the Ethereum chart in 2018, it's almost even more similar to Vchain than that Litecoin fractal is. See? And you can see that there's even here with Ethereum, you can see Ethereum made a lower low, and same with Vchain. So this is more of like an identical sort of situation. It's not exactly identical, whereas the other fractal was more of a rhyme of the same thing. But what I'm trying to get at here is buying Vchain down here is like buying Ethereum right here, or buying Litecoin before Litecoin pumped in 2017. We're at that same point of the cycle where we're extremely undervalued, extremely oversold. People have given up on it. They're all thinking in terms of bear market or waiting 4 years or waiting 3 years or whatever. And because of that, they're going to miss out on the biggest opportunity of their entire lives. And that's just the truth. Oh yeah, Litecoin didn't move yet. It's due for a huge pump. Yes, I do believe Litecoin will pump extremely hard. Manitox says, bless you. Well, bless you too. And thank you so much for tuning in to today's live stream. Dallin, I see you're back with another banger of a live stream. I'm feeling good about this up and coming bullish move. LFG. Yeah, let's go, man. And thank you so much for tuning into this live stream today. Thomas says, here comes the moon. Yeah, I know. That's such a fun song to play for you guys. I mean, algo is listed as a commodity. You know, actually, crypto trades a lot like commodities, so I'm so glad you brought that up, because crypto trades almost identical to commodities, like gold, like silver. If you don't believe me, check out how cool this is. This is so cool. Let me pull up Ethereum over here on the right, okay? We're going to use a little bit of a different Ethereum chart, but it doesn't matter. It's just on a different exchange. And then we're going to pull up silver, okay? A commodity, silver, right? Let's go to silver, and then let's go to, I believe it's this one that has the data. Now, a lot of people go, Dallin, you know, how'd you call the whole pump on silver? Because I did. I called the pump from the bottom right here. Right. In fact, I've been telling people to buy silver since like 2017 right here. Like all the time, because of an ABC correction and a market cycle. Well, the reason I kind of was cued into that is because I'd seen enough crypto bull markets and bear markets and market cycles on the NASDAQ and studied all these charts and the big time frames across multiple different markets. And when I saw silver down here at like $14 per ounce, I knew that silver was going to pump super hard. But if you look at Ethereum on the right and you look at silver on the left, see what I mean? Crypto trades like a commodities market. It properly trades like gold and silver does in many ways, you know? See how similar? Now, of course, fractals appear in all markets and all time frames. I could show you fractals that look the same, even if one isn't a commodity and the other is a commodity. But silver and crypto do trade very, very, very similar to proper commodities markets, and it's pretty cool that crypto does that, you know. Sorry, I was checking my phone. I'm getting text messages right now, but yeah, it's awesome. I love to see that. It's so cool. And basically what I'm trying to get at is that crypto pumps really hard, really fast, just like how silver does. Silver, big long accumulations, looks totally dead, total massive fall off a cliff, and then when it pumps super, super hard. And that's exactly how crypto trades, and that's how silver trades, that's how gold trades, you know. So that's something to be aware of with the crypto markets, you guys. Let's see. Most altcoin are dead project with no utility. You know, anytime I see people talking like that, I generally go, maybe, you know. I've seen enough people call stuff dead. Bitcoin has been called dead tons of times. Some of those altcoins, I will agree with you. Some of those altcoins don't even have developers anymore. Some of them, they're properly dead, you know. But a lot of them still have developers, still have institutional money, still have really cool people that are part of these startups that are entrepreneurs that are working every day to build something really cool to give to the world. There's a lot of that happening in the world of altcoins, and you can't just negate that and say the entire altcoin market is dead and they're all useless, you know, no utility. That's too all-encompassing of a statement, and it's not even all-encompassing in a true sort of way. It's just all-encompassing in sort of just a, you know, blanket statement sort of way. So I don't agree with that, you know, but I do respect your opinion, and I appreciate you tuning into today's live stream, by the way. Hey, Dallin, what's your thoughts on when or how you see the market stop doing its pump and dump and behave with a growth which is sustainable instead of a pump and a full retrace? When do you think we'll enter that? So crypto is always going to have corrections, but as it matures, it should behave more like something like Apple, you know, where Apple pumped so hard. I mean, look how hard. Now, there was some pretty big corrections. If you zoom into Apple right here, you know, pretty big corrections along the way up. This is like what we just saw with Bitcoin, you know, we just saw one of those with Bitcoin, just like that big dump right there. In fact, if you pull up the Apple chart and you pull up the Bitcoin chart, to me, they look pretty similar. There's a lot of the same type of attitude is going on with the Bitcoin market as what happened with Apple historically. I mean, if you look right here, and then you look right here, you know, this correction, right, on Bitcoin, pretty similar to what we've seen historically with Apple. So there's going to be corrections with crypto. You're never going to get just straight up green lines unless you're talking about all like total meme coins that are pumping on Dex Screener that just go straight up, you know, for a day or 2 days or a week, and then they totally die. But every market's going to just have pullbacks no matter what. But what it will do is the volatility should get less. Every bear market should be a lower percentage gain down, and it should get more stable and more parabolic too at the same time. So the volatility should go down, but the price should start to go up more like that. More like how Apple matured as price and time progressed. And so that's kind of my view with Bitcoin and with crypto as a whole. It will get more mature. It's always going to have corrections. You're never going to get away from that, which I wouldn't want it any other way. Because when those big corrections happen, that's when you really can change your life financially. Proof Like Magic says Telcoin. You know, I'm so glad you brought up Telcoin. I have not covered Telcoin in I don't even know how long, except in a couple live streams, but I need to make a video about this coin. I keep getting requests in the comment section, and I haven't made a video in a minute about it. So let's pull up Telcoin, and we'll pull up Ethereum. I always show the same fractal, but it's still 100% what I believe is happening with Telcoin. It's still the position that I take on where Telcoin is at in terms of its cycle, and whether it's undervalued or overvalued, you know. And when I look at Telcoin, I go, man, this reminds me a heck of a lot of Ethereum back in its bottom in March of 2020, before Ethereum went parabolic. In other words, buying Telcoin right now is a lot like buying the dip on Ethereum in 2019 or 2020. Same type of undervaluation, even the same type of ABC correction. Here you can see A, B, and C. And then here on Telcoin, A, B, and C. It's a very similar chart in many ways. And so I foresee a pump coming, especially any break above our resistance here. You know, we have this area of resistance on Telcoin right here. Anything above this area is going to be a huge green light go signal for Telcoin. So if you're more of a conservative investor and you want to wait for confirmations, I don't really do that. I personally believe in just buying the dip and going all in and being totally risky, being a risk taker. Like, I really believe in that. Taking risk has been one of the most joyful things I've ever learned how to do in my life. But if you're more conservative, you could wait for a breakthrough resistance, because if you break through that resistance, it's going to pump really hard. You know, it's going to behave like how Ethereum did. If you want to wait for confirmation, I don't recommend it, because the risk to reward is better to buy the dip than to buy green candles when things are pumping and to wait for confirmation. But I do, if you are more of a conservative investor, that's a level I'd be looking at, is this area of resistance up here, because that will really confirm the big bull market. But I'm fully confident that we will get a big bull market nonetheless for Telcoin. Cheers, mate, for your life-changing videos. I have just invested in ALCX and ALCH. What is your thoughts? ALCX. Let's see what my thoughts are. Oh man, this is just what I was talking about earlier with stuff that looks dead. People want to give up on it. They want to believe that it's dead, that there's no opportunity, you know. But really, it's a perfect opportunity, and it's a classic kind of crypto sort of thing. Crypto dumps, it looks dead. It does these big dump patterns that totally just fall off a cliff all the time, and then you get a big recovery afterwards. And if I look at ALCX here, this looks pretty much identical to what I believe to be a very good opportunity, which was Cardano right here in March of 2020. But when I say a very good opportunity, I just mean this fractal. That type of fractal is a very good opportunity to buy the bottom of those, you know. So I'd say just keep accumulating. If you believe in this project, it can easily pump. I love how there's a big volume spike right here. You can see 15 million ALCX tokens were traded in a very short period of time. That is a good sign, you know. That's a big spike in volume. That's somebody that has some actual, you know, bread, some money, moolah, and they're putting a bunch of it in right there. That's what they're doing. So this is an example I've talked about in previous live streams and videos, how declining price and volume is bullish actually. You'd think it wouldn't be, but it's actually a sign of accumulation and bullishness. But sometimes you do get a capitulation volume spike at the bottom. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does, and that's a good thing too. So in this case, you can see declining price and declining volume. Then there's this big spike in volume. That's a good sign. Sometimes, you know, you just get declining volume and price. Like if we pull up Pulse Chain, for example, let's pull up Pulse here. It's a really good example of what I'm talking about here. This one doesn't have that capitulation spike in volume. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's not going to pump. It's just two different examples of what can happen at the potential bottom of a market, right? This declining price and volume. This is more of what typically happens. But sometimes you get a big spike in volume at the bottom too, which is a capitulation spike, and it's a good sign as well. So, you know, just kind of be thinking like that. Be thinking in terms of declining price and volume is bullish, but if there's a capitulation spike at the bottom, then that's also a really good sign. When silver was under $15, I maxed out my credit cards. Well, congratulations, Robert. That is a huge gain for you, man. And I love to see when people are making tons of money, whether it's crypto, whether it's Forex, whether it's just entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is so cool. Like when people get really competitive entrepreneurially and they get super, super into being, providing value for the world and tuned into creating things, and that is awesome. So however you're making money, however you're bringing in the bread, more power to you. That is awesome, man. And I'm so glad that you bought some silver. That is so cool. Super Snake says, "Hey Dallin, do you provide LP for any of your coins?" No. IMO utility narrative is dead. Absolute junk pumps, while pure DeFi and real yield is considered trash because price is flat. Like I said, just when stuff seems dead, when it's tempting to call a project dead, when it seems like there's nothing happening with it, if there's still developers, if there's still demand, if it's still valuable in terms of what the project does, maybe it's a good opportunity because if the price is low, but the fundamental value is high, even though people's perceived value of it could be low, they might be trashing the fundamentals at that period of time, but their true fundamentals are actually up here, then that's an opportunity. If something's has this much value that it's creating for the world, but the price is down here, then they've diverged, and that's actually a really good opportunity. So there's a lot of altcoins where people would say, this is dead. But fundamentally, they're better. A lot of these altcoins are better fundamentally than they were at the top of the bull market. And so when there's a divergence where the fundamentals are up here, but the price is down here, then that's a good sign. That could be a really good opportunity in the market. And that's kind of how I see a lot of these altcoins right now. Liberty or Death 1776 says, "Hey Dallin, good afternoon. Many big people like Barry Silbert, all in podcast guys, and others are saying Tau is the biggest thing since BTC. Do you have any thoughts? Could you do TA on it? And God bless." Well, thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you too. And I believe in Tau. I've posted signals, I'll just tell you right now, I've posted multiple VIP signals for this coin in the past, especially as it started to kind of get added to exchanges. Let's see if I can find one that has a little bit more data than just Binance. I know there is one. Is it Coinbase? No. One of these places has more data, and I always try to go for the most data on the chart. It's the smartest thing to do. If you can find the data, then you're better off to find the most historical data. Let's type in Tau USD and see if we can find the data here on it. Let's see here. No, I don't think there is the normal one here. Let's see if this one. Nope. Let's try one more time. Sometimes, man, you have to really look around to see where the most data is, and it's not easy to see. It's alright. Let's just pull up this one right here. Excuse me. So you can see here Tau. Tau is a really good setup. This is a triangle right here. This is a triangle. And yeah, it's a little bit of a wedge, like a falling sort of wedge setup, but that's actually the same thing that just caused Bitcoin to pump, you guys. If you pull up Bitcoin right here, let's pull up Bitcoin on Coinbase, and let's zoom in on Bitcoin. Let's go to maybe the 45-minute time frame, I believe, is where it happened at. This is the same type of thing that Bitcoin just did. See this little wedge right here? Oops, there we go. See that little wedge right here? That led to a big pump on Bitcoin, and that's actually the same thing that Tau is doing right now. It's not quite as steep of a wedge. Some of them can be really deep, like this, where they're really steep down like that. Some of them are a little bit less steep. It doesn't matter, it's a wedge nonetheless. And price is moving in this wedge right here, testing multiple points up and down, up and down. And when it pushes up through, it's kind of like a soda can shaken up and getting released. There's a pressure, and that's why you get these big vertical pops, just like what we saw with Bitcoin, where it popped really hard, and we had $2.5 trillion come into the markets in 20 minutes, which is crazy. So that's the way I look at Tau. It is a VIP signal. I've posted it in the past as a VIP signal in my Discord. Normally I don't tell people that, but sometimes I just spill the beans, I guess, on that kind of stuff. And I do believe it's going to pump really hard. Can you do Theta? Sure. The Theta community knows that I am a big Theta lover. It is such a fun project, and so much development happening on it, an awesome community. It's kind of like Pulse Chain. There's just a huge community of people in the world of Theta that are really good people, really awesome, helpful. It's just such an awesome community. I love the Theta community. So let's pull up Ethereum versus the dollar here. We'll go to the bigger time frame, like the 5-day. And just to kind of show you my view on Theta here, Theta is doing a repeat of the same type of psychology that Ethereum did back in the day. So we have Ethereum on the right, Theta on the left. You can see even Ethereum went for another low, right? We have the support level right here. And it didn't happen on every exchange, but if you go across the board of all of the exchanges, you can see properly Ethereum did make another low right there, right below support if you're looking at all of the exchanges. And that's exactly what Theta just did right here as well. Theta broke below that support level, just like how Ethereum did. To me, buying Theta right now at literally 16 cents, how crazy is that? Is a lot like buying Ethereum at like 80 bucks before Ethereum went to a new all-time high. That's my view on Theta here. Same view I've had for a while. I've actually held this view since right here. I've been looking at this since right here. It did go a little bit lower. I thought we might break out right away right here because it started to curl up and it looked kind of like it might. But it took a little bit longer, came below support. But we're still following the same type of market structure that I've been looking at this whole time. And I'm not about to change my position on it just because some people are more bearish, just because there's negative news, just because there's things that people are a little bit afraid of. I trust these fractals. I've seen them before. I've seen them pop up when there's tons of bad news happening, tons of people skeptical that a pump is going to happen, and then a pump still happens because of the fractal, because of the cycle, because of the human emotion in the chart. And that's what I trust. That's what I put my, hope and faith into is these charts. That's just the most success that I've seen is to look at the charts. So yeah, that's my view on Theta right there. Rico Hawk says, "Hey Dallin, good day, buddy. Could you take a look at RSR for me? Thank you." Sure. Let's pull up RSR. Similar kind of thing. Again, I'm just trying to show these fractals over and over to your mind so they get imprinted into your subconscious. So when you start looking at these charts, it's kind of impossible not to see them. Because if you can get in that point where you just see this easy as day, like it just becomes second nature for you to see these fractals, and your mind is almost like not photographic, but like you can just call upon fractals like this. That just comes from looking at them enough. It's not like some superhuman ability that you're born with. It's just you look at these fractals enough, your subconscious will get imprinted with what they look like, and then you'll be able to call upon that place over and over in your mind until it gets reinforced, until you basically become a machine of, oh, this looks like that, or that looks like this, and you can just put stuff together and make good investing decisions based on how you're perceiving the market on these fractals. And it does help a lot. I don't think I would have told people to stay bullish on Bitcoin in the 2018 bear market on Bitcoin if it wasn't for fractal analysis and market cycle analysis. I probably would have fallen victim to the crowds, because the crowds all flipped bearish at the bottom. They got really scared, but because of the fractals, because of the market cycles, I was able to, to maintain my bullish convictions at the bottom, and the market did end up pumping really hard, obviously, all the way to a new all-time high. But this fractal of here in my ebook, click in the description box below, join the Discord, go over to Knowledge and Links, and you can get a free ebook here, completely free, that I wrote for you guys to learn how to trade and invest. And in here, you can see that there's this NASDAQ index up here on the top. That's the internet bubble. And then we have the Bitcoin pump and dump that happened in basically 2017 and 2018, similar as the NASDAQ during the internet bubble. And I wrote this ebook at the bottom here. You can see the price hadn't even pumped yet on Bitcoin. And I was basically showing people this is what the market cycle looks like. So if you can have those market cycles in your mind, if you can have those fractals imprinted into your subconscious, once you start looking at these charts, once you start looking at especially in the bigger picture, you're just going to put 2 and 2 together and see this is bullish, this is bearish, this is undervalued, this looks like this. It helps a lot, and that's kind of what cued me into the bottom here on Bitcoin in 2018. And of course, the price went up to 126,000. It pumped really hard. In fact, it followed pretty much the same format as the NASDAQ did, as it double bottomed and then pumped all the way to a new all-time high. So it does work. It's not perfect. There's times where it's been wrong, where the fractal didn't work out, but it helps a lot. You know, it helps so much that it's well worth every second of learning it. And the feeling you get of calling that type of a bull market and making money on it is worth more than all the money in the world. Like, just the feeling is just so much fun to make money like that. It's crazy. And with RSR, I see a similar kind of setup as where we were looking at with Theta. I know there's no, the creator of this coin isn't getting sued like Mitch is getting sued, unfortunately, right now. But this is a similar kind of setup here in terms of fractal, in terms of cycle, in terms of opportunity. And I really love the opportunity down here. It's a lot like buying Ethereum at $80 before Ethereum pumped to the moon. So yeah, most altcoins in the top 500 are absolute crap. 90% of them are meme coins, also absolute crap. Trade them, sure, if you can. To be honest with you, dude, it's a little bit of a broad statement to say. I appreciate your perspective. Thank you for tuning into today's stream. But, you know, it's a little bit of a blanket statement for the whole market. So I would just be careful saying stuff like that. You know, I've seen stuff that people call total meme coins, valueless, worthless, totally recover and pump all the way to a new all-time high because human emotion moves markets, not fundamentals. If fundamentals moved markets, then tulips wouldn't have had a bubble. You know, if fundamentals moved markets, then you wouldn't have bubbles in penny stocks. Human emotions move market, and that's what moves markets, and that's what really matters, and that's what you should focus on. So, all right, I'll check out the Believe in Something meme coin, but this is the last coin for the day. I got to go pick up my brother and help him with some stuff. So, Believe in Something. Believe in Something. Where is it? I think it's, what's the ticker for it? I know I looked at it previously. Some things, let's just try that. Let's try something. I don't think it's that top one because it's an Ethereum coin, not a Solana coin. What's the ticker for it? And I'll be happy to cover it before. Check out the Ethereum meme coin something. Let's see. Give me just a second, you guys, while I find this ticker. I know it's like believe in something. Believe in something. Where's the Ethereum one? Aha! Here we go. No, that's not the right one. That only has 3,000 in liquidity. Is this the right one? I don't think this is. No, that's not right. You guys have to send me the ticker symbol. If you guys want me to cover coins, you gotta send me the ticker symbol. Something with blue logo. Okay. Something. Let's see here. Because sometimes it's... Oh, there we go. This one right here. I got you. Yeah, so this still looks good from the last time that we covered it. Still looks good. ABC correction right here. You know, big ABC. Wave A, B, and C. Big double bottom. So this actually goes along with, funny enough, this actually goes along with the same type of fractal that I was talking about with the internet bubble. and how I called the bottom on Bitcoin at 3K before it mooned, when it was in 2018 and stuff, is you have these big corrections and you get a big double bottom like this, and then a lot of times you'll come up into a new bull market like this. That's a pretty typical fractal. Doesn't happen every time, but that's a pretty typical fractal in these markets to see that type of a move, and that's that double bottom. If you can buy the right hand side of that double bottom or the left hand side of that double bottom, you're set up pretty good for the pump that can come afterwards. So that'd be my view on believe in something. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's live stream. We're an hour in, gotta go help my brother. I appreciate and love every single one of you. I'm gonna go ahead and play a song on the guitar, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, this is Nearer My God to the acoustic version. I do a lot of the same songs, but that's on me. I'll just have to learn more for you guys. And this one's Malaguena for you. This one is the first song I ever learned how to play on the guitar. It was super cool. Saw this blind guy on YouTube playing this song and was like, dude, if a blind guy can learn how to play the guitar, anybody can, including myself. So then my pride was involved, so I had to prove myself to myself. So I learned this song. Here you go. There you go. Stay profitable, everybody. Have an awesome week. I'll see you guys in videos and probably more live streams this week. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. And like I said, as always, stay profitable out there.